I mean obvious. You know this, there are smoking areas if you make your way out. There are restrooms that are located at the back of the venue, just next to the bar, where we wash our hands when we're done during our thing. I thought so, because it's global hand washing day. And please judge one another. If you see someone coming out the cubicle and they don't give them that look on your whole at a Dettol event, your hands, okay. So we wash our hands there, and we do have the safety and security paramedics that are on standby. So if any of you have a medical emergency, please scream or raise your hand, and someone will come and assist you. And I'd like to start, of course, as well by acknowledging all of our esteemed guests, our ministers and government officials, Department of Health, Department of Education, Department of Water and Sanitation, the Nelson Mandela Foundation, South African Rugby Union, members of the media supporting NGOs, and record representatives.
It is a privilege for me to welcome you all here today in this important event in anticipation of the Global Hand Washing Day on October 15th. Rekit Benkisa exists to protect, heal, and nurture in the relentless pursuit of a cleaner and healthier world. Doing the right thing, always, is in our compass, and the power, the reach of our brands and our business will be leveraged to sustain societal impact. In our view, brands have a role to play. They have a role to play to contribute to healing the problems in our world. Each of our brands has a purpose which is directly linked to one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations.
Thank you so much, Yanni, for those words, and I think being a new mom myself, it resonates so much because you become the responsible one to create the habits in the household, like teaching the little one after putting, your finger in the dog's mouth to wash our hands. And it is important that we become aware of all the challenges that government is facing. Brands and corporates do need to come on board for these partnerships. It cannot happen in silos. It's not possible at all. And also, there are many people that are not aware that diarrhea is the second leading cause of death in the early childhood development ages. They aren't aware. Yet over the past 2-3 years, we all became highly aware of this thing called COVID, where we suddenly knew how to sanitize and wash our hands. So the awareness and moments like this are extremely, extremely important. I'd now like to call upon Mr. Sikwanchibu Masilela, who's the Director, Maternal, Child Health and Nutrition at the Department of Health in Gauteng.
Let me take this opportunity first to acknowledge the invitation and say thanks to, I know the organization that we work with. It's at the moment not Rekit, but 888. How many minutes do I have? Oh, okay. It's because I've got this pastoral attitude to speaking, so I might speak for a longer time. So we're having an event on the 11th at the Christian Paragwana Academic Hospital, looking at the issues of hand washing. And our theme that comes from both, for us, is both UNICEF and the World Health Organization, but the United Nations is uniting or unite for hand washing. So that is what we're doing. Now, I think it's more than 5 years, I should think, when we were approached by 888. We are having this serious problem, not because they don't have water. Remember, counting in the time, they almost about 70% access to water, but still, we don't have so. So, when we are approached by
And so they developed what they called the Blue Drop certificate. And what it was a sort of quality program that municipalities could implement to kind of make sure that they were supplying good, clean water to the communities that they served. And what this graph shows is after the program was introduced, there was this dramatic increase in municipalities that were testing the quality of their water. Okay. And the reason I show this is because this is diarrheal deaths in South Africa from 1990 to 2019. And what you can see is around the 2008 mark is you start seeing this nice decline. And I will leave you where I started. And maybe just as something to think about is that something like hand washing, which doesn't cost a lot, but it does force us to maybe rethink our habits. Not all interventions have to cost a lot of money in order to make an impact. And maybe what I'd like to see is that washing your hands becomes as automatic as brushing your teeth as you go through your day-to-day. Okay. So, thank you for your attention. I'll take questions. I think after the panel discussion, please feel free to come and have a chat to me. I chat a lot about diarrhea, and it's my real passion. So thank you.
You know, the moment you spoke, the first thing I thought is soap on a rope. But the question is, how do you leave the soap on a rope? How does it stay there? Because now someone's like, ooh, and I need soap in the house, and then the soap is gone. So maybe we do need to come up with some really innovative ways to take that into consideration. That is the reality that most people are facing. Some of us do have the very fancy, you know, you push, or not even, it senses your hand there, yeah, Dettol, and then the soap comes out, gumnandi, and you wash there with the warm water, and your towel is there, and you get to dry your hands. But the reality is that many are facing require those kind of solutions. So what we move on to now is that we've got children from Uvile Daycare, and what they're going to be doing is giving us a little demonstration on how to wash our hands properly. It was over the past 2 years that I watched videos that I realized actually so many of us are not actually washing our hands properly. And this demonstration is what has been taught through the Dettol Hygiene Quest Schools program. So please give these little gems a big round of applause. With one or two actionable solutions, because while we're speaking high level about this wonderful partnership, the changes actually happen in our homes. What is the role of fathers in this conversation? Because I take serious issue with the assumption that they are all absent, and in all my conversations in my work on television, on radio, where we speak about the statistics of dads not being present, there are men who stand up and say, what about us, we are here? So how do we involve the men, and not just the biological fathers, the men who say, I'm going to show up as a father second?
I think indeed, as you rightly pointed out, in South Africa we are faced with many statistics, and the one of fathers remains one that we need to grapple and really understand that we have a role, we have a duty to empower the fathers equally as we empower the mothers. You will see during our journey today that we have made an intentional partnership with the Rugby SA in order for us to advocate and drive the advocacy on the ground, on and off the field. We look at those rugby players as strong men, but we forget they are fathers themselves. They are fathers who have got a duty to ensure that the nation knows that they need to be hygienic. And most importantly, I think as Dettol, we want to empower them with the right knowledge, with credible partners, with credible faces, with credible people, and a credible brand that will ensure that this message reaches the most people that it needs to reach. And and those are the communities that we serve as Brigitte South Africa.
As we saw during COVID, it can also protect you against some of the respiratory diseases and some of the other infectious diseases that are sort of a part of our world, and we have to deal with it.
And the reason we actually know that is accurate, I recall there was a news report where the pharmacies were reporting a decline in flu medication sales. We're like, you're complaining about their head. So that definitely is the case. So Professor, what is the best way we can reduce the spread of diarrhea? What does the research advise young people to do? Yes, as our future generation, but even, you know, to the individuals in this room and our grown ages.
Okay, so wash your hands after you've been to the bathroom, before you kind of prepare food, potentially after you've handled raw food, wash your hands, after you've changed the baby's nappy. So anywhere where you might come into contact with sort of unsavory things, wash your hands. It protects you, it also protects you from transmitting to someone else. So that would be the one thing. The other thing, if you're unsure about your water sources, you can boil your water. Providing decent sanitation, that's another way. If you have diarrhea, and and specifically if your child has diarrhea, giving them an oral rehydration solution. Again, it's a simple intervention, it's cheap, but that in itself is a lifesaver.
You can now get access to that blue water. I can hear Gogo saying, you're not washing your hands, we are cooking with this water, we are drinking this water. So how then do those challenges get addressed? And maybe let me ask you, Ntate Sikonjiwe, where you need to prioritize the bit of water that you have. Because in my eyes, I would rather give my child water to drink than use that water to wash their hands, but they are equally important.
I think both Madam Silo, what you said of there are these social determinants of health. So that means that health alone cannot, as a Department of Health and Wellness, we cannot handle issues of water and sanitation because that is not necessarily our specialty.
Thanks for the session. So I want to know ways we can get now solve that emotional care almost every day. Thanks for the session is kind of a big challenge because by the time the parents or the caregiver brings the child to us, they are dehydrated, they have a big shock, they have to resuscitate. But also it comes back to the infrastructure that the clinic is about 25 kilometers away from where the actual village is. Coming to hospital will take 3 hours, calling an ambulance will take another 5 hours. To the end, they'll tell you that the ambulance is 8 o'clock in the morning and before we come in the evening.
It's probably one of them, especially when it's playing video games. And that's when the struggle is very big. So, all these esteemed guests, and I would like to add the word accomplishment, because what I've learned the last 1 hour or so is really humbling for me, the kind of knowledge that all of you have, and I've embodied it, the way you embodied it, has also made me think. It's like knowing the subject quite intimately. So, from the bottom of our heart, we would like to thank all of you for being here, for being partners, and for having this important conversation.
Yes, there's a child who dies. It's one child too many. As long as there's a family that has to lose someone, who then can't go to work and be productive because they're suffering from diarrhea, it's one case too many. And if we treat it like we did COVID, it means that we'll then be able to join forces to try and deal with the challenges that we face with like a pandemic. Because that government of the pandemic tends to stick. You say pandemic, it works. Even you are not a doctor, you know that you've reached a new level. So the security guards checking doctors, your temperature is too high. Doctors say, well, I'm a doctor, yes, but your temperature is too high. So if we were to do that, then it means that we will also get to the next level of dealing with trust issues. Collaborations are destroyed and damaged by a lack of trust.
Responsibility, again, I'm going to reiterate, we speak very high level. It starts with everybody in their homes, in their communities. Even if you're touching one person's life, that in itself makes a massive difference. And yes, we're so grateful to the departments that have come on board, to Dettol, to Rick, for driving this campaign. But what happens afterwards is that the work gets done after this when we leave the space. I'd like to introduce the marketing manager for Dettol South Africa.
It's a fact. Handwashing does save lives. We know it. We've seen it. What it is. And the final message is more simple. It requires each and every one of us to jump on the street to make this happen. Actually, I don't think it's actually yes, Dettol is trying to discuss what they are things. We've been working partnership with Department of Health, is super fantastic. We have new partners, the National Foundation, and the SLO on board. But honestly, we need work. And so we try to see and set our intentions. I want you to do this meeting this morning with that thought in your heart, and the question is, what am I going to bring? What additional value am I going to bring? And it leads me to
Are you ready? Come on this side. Here we go.